I think the hype element of it probably was there for quite some time, and I was wondering where the value was going to come from. The reality is that I suppose in the last 6 months, we've really embraced it, and we've seen how it's going to deliver significant value. And that's probably around the maturing of AI in its own right, but also recognizing that AI in the context of what we do isn't necessarily valuable unless you teach it, unless you program it, unless you actually start to build what we call a semantic layer underneath it that helps it to understand your business. And the benefit of that layer within, say, Enterprise is that we can build it once for every customer because the data is all consistent. So as a result, it'll learn and improve over time and generate skills based on a consistent set of data. And I think that that's where our AI is going to be significantly valuable to our customers. So the fourth interface, I guess you have to be maybe my age or a little bit older to remember some of these interfaces, but the fourth interface goes back to really early computers where people use punch cards to actually program them. So what we had were computer scientists punching holes in bits of paper and plugging them into the computer to program them to get an output. And these people were incredible, and the level of intelligence they needed to have to run a computer was really specialist. I think after that we had MS-DOS, and again it was command-based languaging. So you needed to know all these commands like CD / and dir and all of these terms in order to operate a computer. To print it, you to type in print and then the file name, and then a print came out. So it got a little bit better because you weren't putting holes in paper in order to be able to use a computer. The third interface was Windows, and Mac, I guess, but it was a GUI-based interface, a graphical user interface, and that was mouse-driven primarily. And having gone through that move from command-based to GUI-based, the amount of objections people had about how they would use their applications in that space was incredible. I'm not using this mouse. What does that thing? Or they'd push it to the corner. And they went back to the way they used to do it. And eventually, I suppose, for most, it just became the natural way of actually using a computer. And the fourth interface then will be AI. So instead of your interface being mouse-driven or keyboard-driven, it will be voice-driven. It will be natural language-driven. So all our interfaces will change ultimately to be more voice and natural language inputting with outputting coming from that. And then when we see the likes of generative UI, where the command that you're putting into this is going to create that user interface for you, like a dashboard, for example, or even a piece of disposable code that you might want to use, that's going to change absolutely everything. And applications may even become headless, where the engine has multiple interfaces depending on how the customer wants to work with the application itself. I think most SMEs are still a little bit skeptical about the value that it's going to bring. It's fascinating to see it. So they're using it in some context as an external application, like a different way to search the web, or they're using it as a way to maybe interrogate an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. They haven't quite seen where it's going to land for them yet, because it's very general and very generic. So within the IT industry, obviously, we're going to be way ahead of that. But I think the wholesale and distribution companies and people like that haven't quite seen where it's going to land and deliver value yet. And it can't just be a query-based tool. AI needs to have skills to actually make your business run more efficiently and help you to make better decisions. That's really what it's going to do. And that comes with a natural language engine, but it also comes with a really powerful semantic layer, which is effectively the training that you're doing in the AI about your business, about your data. And that's where I think the value is going to land with these SMEs. I think that's a very good question. The reality is that, first of all, what are they using the AI for? So if you're talking about the context of your ERP application, right? So if you're talking about your business critical data, security has to be paramount. Where is the data going? Is it going to be used for training? Does it know your data? So again, AI is very powerful, but if you ask it a question it doesn't understand or it hasn't been trained about, especially in the structure of your data, where is it going to go to find the answer? Is it going to go out into the internet, find out what something is and come back and try and figure out the answer? Is it going to hallucinate? Is it going to be a query-based AI agent that's effectively translating the natural language into a query to give you the right answers? Or is it going to go off and make up its own mind about what you want it to do? So you have to be really careful about rolling this out in your business, because ultimately, if you roll something out that doesn't work, your employees are going to lose a lot of confidence in it. So the first question is how powerful is the training, the modeling that's been built into the AI? The second question I would ask is, what is the security and how tight is the security around your data? This is your business. Data is your business. Your customers, your stock, your margins, your profitability, everything is all built into this data. The last thing you want to do is to lose ownership of that data. So I think that's really important. And I think we've even seen it with the likes of newer versions of AI coming out where they now know vulnerabilities in applications. So you have to be very careful about all of that. So those are two main considerations, I think, around AI. And there are many others. But I think the third one probably is how you're going to use it and where you're going to use it and what value do you see that it's going to drive for the business. Oh, it's critical. If you've got the wrong data in your ERP, the answers are going to be wrong. Like, it's not going to guess that a customer address is in the wrong place. It's not going to know that a particular item is. So here's a great example around data. If you take a transaction, it has three fields, especially within our ERP. It has a posting date, a delivery date, and it has a document date. If you ask AI to give you a report on sales, it doesn't know whether you're basing that on posting date, document date, or due date, unless you tell it what the relevance is of the three different dates. It also doesn't know if you want to know about revenue, margin. It doesn't know whether you are, for example, asking about your top 10 customers. Is it basing it on whether they are selling more than they did before, whether you're making more margin, they're paying on time? Those are three characteristics of that data that's really important. So the data has to be key, data has to be consistent, but on top of that, your semantic layer that I keep talking about, this piece, needs to understand what you mean when you ask it those questions. Now, you can have differences within those questions, and the AI will be really clever at saying, he's asking about top 20 customers, not top 10 customers. I can use the same query to ultimately answer that, but it still needs to understand the core of what you're asking. But the consistency around the data is really key. And then when you look at the world of ERP, we have lots of idiosyncrasies like custom fields and different ways people use it. So ultimately, you have to start training it around those differences within your business over other businesses. But because the way Enterpryze is architected, the consistency across everybody. So for example, moving around your warehouse, optimizing your warehouse based on pick times and fast moving products. AI is going to be able to do things like that. But again, we have to tell it what we mean by a pick location. We have to tell it what we mean about distances and fast moving products, or it will potentially hallucinate an answer for you that's going to give you the wrong thing. So the agentic AI is really incredible. And again, not laboring too much the enterprise value, but the consistency of the data structure is where we can deliver agentic AI really, really fast to everybody at the same time. So what you see is enterprise intelligence embedded across the whole platform, living within the data, that is finding ways to run your business better or to tell you what's going on within your business more efficiently. So agentic AI effectively comes in two parts in our mind. There's the skills based off of the natural language model. So asking it something in plain English, like show me my products that are below my minimum stock level. It presents that information to you, and then it presents the information to you, and then it asks you, would you like me to order those products from a supplier? Or would you like me to order them to the maximum stock level or based on reorder levels? And again, we're getting into a very simple version of MRP, but ultimately that's what it is enabling us to do with those skills. We can then take agentic AI to another level where it might be automating mundane processes within the business. So take, for example, our invoice automation tool. It's fully AI backed. It's looking at transactions, but in the situation where your invoice doesn't have the data, and because the AI is living within your data, it knows that, for example, item codes don't match or supplier records can't be found, the agentic AI will surface and tell you how to fix that problem for the future. It may need to be taught, it may need to be educated around what it is, what the problem is with the data, but ultimately that's where it's going to offer some real value to people. Those mundane tasks like expense processing, purchase invoice processing, queuing and managing service calls, for example, that are coming in from an inbox, and automating an awful lot of that by presenting answers from a knowledge base. Looking at people who are on the road and empowering them more through our agentic mobile solution is going to be something that's going to be very powerful. Human in the loop on AI is absolutely critical. Like, you have to have somebody there who's checking what's going on. So eventually you will get more confident in how it's doing things for you, just like you become more confident with any tool that you have. But in the short term, in the beginning, you have to be confident because your data might not be right. And if your data's not right, the AI might take the wrong actions. So keeping the human in the loop is very important. But it can get rid of that unnecessary need, for example, to be typing up purchase invoices or for you to be adding in expense details when the AI is going to read it from the receipt automatically. So there's plenty of things where AI can help the user without eliminating the user. And I think there's too much scare around that whole AI is going to replace my job. I don't think it is. I think it's just going to make you more efficient and enable you to do your job more effectively.